Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, based on your time zone. Welcome in Salesforce Epic SAR. And today we are going to talk about introduction to the new Salesforce mobile app. And our speaker is Mohit Srivastav. My name is Amit Chaudhary. I'm the founder of the Salesforce Apex R and the co-organizer of Farmington Salesforce Developer Group. I'm a Salesforce MVP. You want to follow me? You can follow me on Amit underscore SFDC. And let me hand over to our speaker, Mohit Srivastav.
Hey everyone, those of you who don't know me, my name is Mohit Srivastav. I'm a Salesforce MVP and also I'm author of this book, Learning Salesforce Lightning Application Development, which was basically for Aura components. Yeah, it's a book available on Amazon if you're interested in learning how to build Aura components. And I welcome you all to this session. Also, just an announcement, Amit, is if I the COVID-19 thing is going on, so we want everyone to take precautions and follow the respective guidelines that are laid by CDC or your local authorities. It's becoming a serious issue, so let's all work towards that. All right, let's get to the agenda for today's topic. A lot of this will be in demos actually. I'll go over each of these topics. Some of them we'll go over like a little demo that I have on my Salesforce Mobile One app. So the agenda for today is we're going to talk about the Salesforce mobile application development landscape. In this, we will discuss the various options today that are available if you are planning to provide mobile solutions on Salesforce platform. And then we'll talk about the core focus of this session would be not how to like build native apps. Instead, it will be how to use Salesforce platform, that is the low code platform. How to use low code on Salesforce platform. To use this new Salesforce application that Salesforce provides and build application. That is we'll basically look at how to set it up. Where to install it, and then we will also go into further details like how do we create a lightning app, lightning mobile app which appears on your mobile menus, and then how to build record pages for mobile experience. Then some tips and trick on how to make your web components available for mobile. And then how do we personalize the Salesforce mobile experience. So for that we will get into some of the options that Salesforce provides, like security options in the mobile app, options like navigation menu control, options like branding control, quick actions, global actions, and how to use web components like Lightning web components in the mobile experience. So it should be a fun 1 hour here. And really looking forward to it. And at the end, I'll give some references, and I'll leave some time for Q&A sessions. So let's get started. So before we actually dive in and see, like the new Salesforce app, right? Let's look at like, what does the landscape today looks like when you are trying to bring a mobile solution to, to your clients. So there are three types of, applications that one can build. And one thing we have to be always cognizant when you're architecting a mobile app solution for your clients is who are your end users? Like, are they say internal Salesforce users, or are they external community users, etc. So based on that, we have different all these three approaches. So the first approach is native mobile app. So native mobile app is generally you build it when you have in-house developers in your company, who are familiar with mobile and Android development, etc. And especially your users are looking for a really high performant app. It's really high performant. It provides all the offline capability. Let's say you want an offline capability. You want to use device features like not just cameras or anything. Maybe advanced device features like microphone or um, the storage of your device, etc. So for those, right, where you want really good fast user experience, that's what your users are actually looking. So for that, actually you have to go with native mobile approach. So the thing with the native approach is, you have to maintain two different code bases because, for iOS, you usually write it in Swift, and for Android, you usually use, Kotlin or Java to build your application. So Salesforce makes it easy. Actually, Salesforce provides some SDK to make your life simpler. Actually, if you're building applications like that, they already provide samples of how to connect to Salesforce REST API, how to authenticate using connected apps, etc. So I'm not going to go into detail. Actually, I have a trail mix at the end, which will cover in details if you're interested in like native mobile app. Like as I said, uh, this talk is basically getting you familiar with Salesforce new mobile app and how you can build applications on top of it. It's not about how do you build a native application. There are enough resources on the trailhead, and in the references section I'll provide you a link where you can actually go and reference. The other option is hybrid mobile app. So a lot of us are not familiar with the Objective C or Swift or Kotlin or Java, right? We are all web developers, so we know JavaScript very well. So for if you're looking for a relatively good performance app, right, you can use a hybrid mobile solution. So to help, again, Salesforce provides an SDK to help you with that. So some of the the technologies that make it very easy today are React Native, Ionic, Flutter, etc. So if you're looking to build using JavaScript, right, React and Ionic are the places where you can go and refer. And Salesforce also makes it so simple for React Native because they provide an SDK to go along with it, that has offline capabilities, that shows you how to connect to Salesforce REST API, how to authenticate, etc. So again, we're not going to get detail into it, but just your own option, right? Um, so one thing to note is, all these solutions that we are talking about is for internal users, right? If you're looking to, build solution for external users, you will be using Salesforce communities and the community licenses. And also, in order to scale, right, you can use platforms like Heroku, because, in Heroku, right, the thing is, there will be more relaxed limits compared to the limits of Salesforce platform, right? So you can use Heroku Connect to get all your data from Salesforce into Heroku, and then connect, using the APIs to Heroku, and build a mobile app solution using the or build against basically Heroku application. So the last option, right, and that's where our entire focus today will be on low code, using Salesforce apps, right? So we know how much we love Salesforce is because it provides ability for us to click and point, create apps, tabs, create record pages, etc. Salesforce makes it really simpler, to build solutions. So we'll focus on new Salesforce mobile app. We will see, in fact, I don't have access to, how to publish to the App Store, but you can. There is a trailhead link that I'll share at the end that will show you how you can publish your apps that you build using Salesforce mobile platform to the respective stores. You just have to contact your AE and get it enabled on your org, to get that capability. But since I have only my developer org, right, I won't be able to show that feature. But apart from that, I'll be able to demonstrate every bit of the thing, every bit of the application. So let's get started. So introduction to Salesforce mobile, right? So previously, right, Salesforce has this product Salesforce One, right? We know it had a lot of limitations. Like for example, it provided things like quick actions or publisher actions, etc. But like if you're creating a record page, it used to be very different. It used to take from page layout and not exactly the right record pages, etc. So they have optimized all those things for mobile. So the core thing with the Salesforce mobile app that Salesforce is trying to achieve is how can we build faster, right? um, how can we build with just click and point, and then how can Salesforce provide tools so that you can build these apps and also personalize it, meaning you can add your own colors, your own fonts, etc. And basically, also how can you empower your users, so that whatever the experience they see on the mobile, you see almost the same experience but just optimized for the mobile, right? So that's the objective with Salesforce mobile app. So with that, actually, let's get on to a quick demo, right? So let's get on to this. So I would like to start some tools so that I can use my mobile and show you the mobile app here. So I'm actually using a tool to connect my phone to to my desktop. So let's actually try to connect that. Bear with me for a moment. I'm just trying to find the app. Okay. Let me actually restart this thing. Okay, it has some issues that as we go along we'll fix it. But let's get into the meat of the talk, and then I can obviously come back and fix this thing. Let me exit this program here. Okay, so one of the things you will quickly see in your Salesforce environment today is new Salesforce mobile app quick start. So if you go to your lighting experience setup, right, today you will see things like there is already a menu that Salesforce gives, and this one-pager guide will actually help you to basically see what are the things that are available in the Salesforce mobile one, right? So one of the things that you will see is, they provide you a tool. They call it as, Salesforce Optimizer for mobile. So whatever the lightning record pages that you have today, right? All those pages might not be optimized for mobile. So you can run this tool. Basically, it will give you a report, a generated report, which will show you, okay, how many lightning pages today you have, whether some of them are optimized for mobile. If you have things like lighting components, etc. Are they optimized for mobile, right? So that's one of the tools that they provide. The other tool that they provide is updating your lightning apps to mobile. I'll show you what that means. So to help you actually visualize this, I've created an application, actually a mobile application, right? So let's go to the app manager to see how you can create a mobile app. So you go to the app manager basically. So I've created an application, just to demonstrate the use case. I call it as webinar tracker. So the goal of this application is, it's an application where, as a, let's say somebody like Amit, right, who maintains, webinars, right? He does Apex hours and maintains these webinars. So what I've created is, this is an application for, let's say, Amit to actually track these webinars, track the number of participants that are there. So it's a simple, object model which has, a couple of objects. One is webinar, which holds all the webinar details, and then you have participants, which is, basically a junction object between the contact and the webinar. So that's the application. Now let's see how we can make this application actually available on the mobile. So to make it available on the mobile, right? So you can create an app like this, just by going to your app builder, or basically, I can show you here the way you create your applications. It's very similar to how you do it for the desktop, but all you do is you go to the app manager. Let's get to the app manager here, and then you say new lightning app, right? So one of the things that it will ask you is, let's say I'm just putting something here just to show you. So one of the things it will start asking you is, whether you want for what form factor, whether you want for desktop and phone, or you want this application specifically for phone or desktop. So this option never used to be there, and it's the one that came actually after the new release of the platform. So let's look at. So I've created one application basically, as I said, to demonstrate the capabilities of this. So app options. So as you can see, I've made this available for desktop and phone. And obviously this utility item will only appear for desktop because it doesn't make sense for the mobile, right? And then I can control the nav item. So for me, for this particular application, right, on the phone, I want only webinars and contacts when I actually go into the application, right? And then I can make it available that which profiles this should go, right? There's also a little utility that Salesforce provides, if you want to run this, show that it shows, your optimization basically. Like let's say, your record pages are not properly designed, or, they're slow, etc. So this optimizer can actually help you to do some assessment on that, on this particular specific application, right? So I've created this app. So as you can see now, this will appear in the, in the app section for me. That is when I go to the chevron, right? And I say webinar tracker app. So when I go to the webinar tracker app, it will show me webinars that one can register against, like for example, this session, right? And then I have a related object which says, which has participants, and then I can upload the, my presentation to this. So this is a simple application. You all know how to create them for desktop, right? Now we can make this available for mobile. So let me try to one more run my app mirror so that I can mirror my phone and show you how this thing looks in the phone. So let me give it one more try. I'm just making sure. Can you hear me, right?
Yep, we can.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's start detecting this thing. Hopefully it shows up. It's not detecting from my Wi-Fi. Let's see if I'm connected to my Wi-Fi actually. Okay. Let me start again. Okay, I'm gonna switch on and switch off my phone. Sometimes this application actually does this. So we'll continue with the presentation, once I'm back here with this thing. I think this should work. Okay, let me keep this open like this, and we can go through the rest of the presentation. And once my phone is switched back, I'll show you. The thing is, I want to mirror exactly. The other way I can do is, basically use the console and go to the mobile view here. That's like a little hack that could be done here. Is basically change this thing into a mobile toggler here. Okay, well, we'll get back to that. Just give me a second. I just have to restart my device here.
Hey Mohit, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So Mohit, if you have a cable, you connect iPhone with MacBook and just open QuickTime. So
I don't have. This is my Android. That is all the problem here. I don't have an iPhone. So just give me a sec. Actually, this thing used to work yesterday. It's just for some reason it is not detecting. Maybe I'm not on the on the Wi-Fi actually. Says okay. Just give me a second. It sometimes does this. I know that sometimes it actually does this thing. There must also be an Salesforce One simulator. I mean, I can use that worst case. I don't want to, but I guess this will be fine, you know. All right, this seems to be working. Okay, I'll use the simulator for the time being. You know, I'll try, you know, at the end of the session once more to see if I can mirror my phone. You know, it's always Android and Mac because I'm on Mac and my phone is Android, so it's always challenging, you know, to mirror it. But let's see. I think this should be enough. All right. Let me see if. Okay, this is completely different experience than what you see on the phone, actually. Let me see. Yeah, this is a little different experience actually than what we see on the phone. Let me see if I go to full side to the change this thing. Yeah, okay, finally it is working. All right, so the app mirror is working now. Okay, so I should be able to demo this thing. Okay, so let me actually close the simulator. We don't need this. Okay, now you should be able to see my phone. Okay, so let's actually get on to the Salesforce one. So basically, Salesforce offers two, different versions, not different versions, I must say, like, based on your operating system, you can install one. So I'm on Android, so I'll be opening the Android application here. So I'm just opening the Salesforce application. So one new thing that you will see now in the Salesforce mobile one is basically now you have an app launcher, so the app that you distinguish as saying, okay, this should be available for phone, you will also see that, it will be displayed here. For example, um, what I have here is webinar tracker, right? So the webinar tracker application that I created now is available here for me in the app options, right? Now there are other applications as well, like Sales Console, Sales, all these things. So these are provided standard by Salesforce. If you want, you can keep them, or you can disable it for mobile. That's totally possible. Salesforce allows you to do that, but I just kept it just like as it is. So webinar tracker is where I go, and then I can see all those tabs, right? So this is a new change that has happened to this Salesforce Mobile One app. That is, you can have as many apps as you want for your internal users here, and then basically based on that, you now start seeing it, right? So actually, let's get into some other things that this quick setup wizard provides you. So let's get back to that quick setup wizard to see what are the other things and the controls that are being provided for this application. So now let's go into the quick setup wizard, right? The mobile quick setup wizard. So now I'm here, right? So the other thing I want to show you is, so you can also, basically what Salesforce does is, for your org, right? You can configure certain things like branding and notification options. So if I go to the branding, right, it will allow you to sort of configure a branding for your Salesforce one. Like for example, you can change the loading page color, right? Today it just loads as like default blue of Salesforce, but you can change that. You can also change brand color. That is, the colors that you see on the on the sidebar, etc. So you can change that color. It's default blue on my on my thing, right? We can change it. I'll change it when we come to personalization demo. The other thing I want to mention is the landing page logo. So today it's Salesforce logo, but you can add your own logo, right? So those are some of the features that are provided. The other thing that I wanted to actually go through was, the notification options. So notification options are basically, they provide you two types of notification. One is in-app notification. In-app notifications are basically, like it comes from an activity in Lightning experience. Like for example, you have a new task, right? You have a new approval, etc. So those are like in-app notifications. The other thing is push notifications. Um, so push notifications are basically you are pushing a notification to a mobile, and Salesforce makes it easier to do that by creating a notification. So all you do is you create a notification section here. So I'm going to go to notification to show you how. So I have a simple notification created. Let's say somebody is registering to a webinar, right? So to do that, you have to create a custom notification. So webinar registration notification is the custom notification that I've created. Basically, it will ask you, okay, what channels you want this notification to. Do you want it for desktop or mobile? You say mobile, and save it, right? And then the way you actually fire, and one of the things you need is you also need this to be enabled here, right? And also the way you will fire that is, so there are other notifications as well that are there standard by Salesforce that you can actually control by disabling or enabling here, right? But this is the custom notification. As you can see, it's in the mobile, and I call it as webinar registration notification. So let's see how we can trigger this. So we all know this process builder, right? So we can write a process builder actually to trigger those push notifications. So I've written a simple process builder here, which says webinar registration notification, right? So whenever a participant is actually registered, right, against a webinar, I'm creating a simple flow which says, the owner of the webinar gets a notification saying new participant is being registered, with this notification body, right? And the target object is participant. So let's see how this works in real life, right? So let's say I'm on on one of the sessions here, right? Let's say I'm gonna add a participant to it, So let's see. So I'm gonna go here and say. So I've also created a create new participant. So because this is a quick action, instead of going and saying here new, you can easily make a quick action. The thing with the quick actions is they also appear on mobile. So for example, if I'm on webinar, okay, I'm trying to click this. I should click on my phone. So let's say I'm on one of these, right? One of the thing you see is here. You see this create new participant, right? So this gives you a quick little quick action actually. So let's create a participant here. So adding a participant is just adding a contact. I think we have Andy Young, James Bond. I'm just gonna see if I have somebody else. Tom Ripley. Okay, so I'm gonna add this guy, right? I'm gonna save it. So now you would see that I have got a push notification here saying new participant registered. I don't know if you heard that tone which made some vibration noise, right? Let's see. So basically you see this notification here that says, new participant got registered, right? So I was able to open that participants and actually see the details of that participant here, right? So that's one of the thing here, right? That I wanted to show is how you can push notifications into mobiles, using the notification builder feature of Salesforce, right? And how you can create that quick action, right? Now let's come back to presentation and cover some of our slides, and then we will go back and look at some other features that Salesforce provides. So yeah, so quick setup. I'll come back to the security controls later as we go along, but yeah, so creating a Salesforce mobile is pretty simple. As you saw, you just create an app, associate with mobile, assign profiles. That's about it, right? The other thing that I wanted to cover was this one. So building custom Lightning pages for Salesforce mobile experience, right? So what does this mean, right? So today, right, if you actually go to the Salesforce, right? Let's come back to the Salesforce here. So let's say, for example, so so this one, right, the webinar detail page. So this page, right, I have configured it for both, for mobile and for the desktop. So Salesforce, what it allows us to do is, same record page that you see, you can render for both the layouts, right? So you can render for phone, you can also render for, desktop, right? So Salesforce provides the same layout, right, which can be rendered for both mobile. And in fact, when you create like a new layout now, it will ask you. So for example, when I say a new page, right, it's going to ask our device now, let's see if it asks. So you can select one of these, right? So supported form factors, you see, for some of them, it will be only, desktop, or maybe for all of them, it's desktop and phone now. So now, you can see everything is supported for both desktop and phone, and automatically, make it responsive so that when you're on a tablet or phone, it automatically makes sense. So they show all the variations of it. So let's look at it. So for this one, right, for let's say I have a component here called path, right? So path component basically allows you, so I have different stages here to configure a path. So I've configured a Salesforce path here. So you have different stages of webinar, like planning phase, it's open for registration, the registration is closed, and the webinar is completed. So it makes sense to have like a path, right, on a desktop experience, right? But let's say we want to hide that path, for mobile experience. Let's say I want this for desktop, but I don't want it for mobile, right? So what you can do is you can use a filter, you can use a device filter. So Salesforce provides you the capability called device filter. But what you can do is you can see this, the orange icon here. So basically I have added a component visibility, and they provide you to do that. So there is a filter where you can say, okay, I want to add a device filter. I want to say form factor equal desktop, so that this path actually appears only for desktop, so similarly, let's say you have a component which you want to say, okay, I want this component to be only available for a desktop view, right? You can make sure that. So now if I'm on a mobile, right? So let me actually go to the mobile here. So let's go to the webinar layout, right? So let's go back to the webinar, right? So as you can see now in the details, right, you don't have that, basically you don't have the chevron, right, or the path thing. It's been hidden for, for the mobile experience, because that's what I wanted. I wanted, when I open the details page, I wanted only, the detail component to actually show up, and the related component here that you see here, like both the tabs that you saw here um, in the desktop view, right, they have become, um, tabs like this, and then I have the participant related list, um, which has basically a different layout. So this thing got hidden, right? So similarly, what you can do is, one of the things that you can do is, let's say you want a component on only phone, right? So a good example of this is, let's say I'm calling this participant, right? So maybe I need a phone icon here where I click and actually go to the phone, it starts calling, right? So you don't need it on, maybe you don't need that on the desktop, right? So just to show you an example of that, right, I can customize this, page, or the record page, and make sure that, I have it available for, so let's start here. So for example, I have this component, right, call participant, right, where I said, the device form factor equals phone. And actually this is a web component. I'd like to show, the code behind it. So it's a simple web component that I've created, just to show that, you can use your Lightning web components for mobile. There are certain things that you need to remember, and I will actually show you now what are the, how can you make a Lightning web component. So if you're a developer and building Lightning web component, you can make it available for, mobile and desktop both, for your record pages. But so this component basically does, just a demonstration component. So it is used to call participants. That's why I call participant. So you have a phone field. So what this is doing is, on the load of the record, right? So takes the phone number from the phone number text field. There's a phone number text field on the participant. And what it does is it's a component that gives you a link to, start a call. So basically it uses a href tag, just to initiate the call. And I want this component only to be available for, mobile form factor. So to do that, you'll have to go into the meta.xml, and you have to say, okay, you are targeting a lightning record page, but from your target config, you have to say, so this says that it's only available for participant object, but there's one key thing that you have to remember is you have to add this card, supported form factors, and say type equals small. So let's say you want to support for desktop also, then you will add one more thing and say type equals large. So this is important. Otherwise, you will not see this component in the phone view. So let's see how it looks in the phone view, right? And you can also, just to make sure one more thing, right? You can also add a device filter here. So for example, I've said device form factor equals phone, right? So let's look at how it appears on the phone. I'm gonna power up my phone. So on the participant, you will see, so for example, this guy is a participant, right? You will see an icon here, like this log a call. So this is my web component icon, this one. So when I do this, it actually brings me to a phone view, right? So that's, that shows or basically demonstrates that, you can use, components and build only specific components for, your phone. That's the objective of showing it. So, so let's actually move forward to the presentation. So yeah, so if you're building a custom Lightning page, right, you can basically assign a record page, right, for the mobile, control the visibility using device filter, and make sure that it actually renders fine within, or it is basically optimized, and it supports the phone factor, by being responsive. So you can easily do that, by going to the phone layout and making sure that your layout is actually looks okay for your phone device. Okay, so now let's move on to the next section, right? So personalizing Salesforce mobile app experience, right? So Salesforce provides certain things, certain configurations, and all it is click and point, right? Where you can personalize your application. That is, you can change logos, you can change the colors of, whatever you like to, right? So let's quickly demonstrate that. And then we can see how the compact layouts actually come into picture. So I've already kind of talked to this. So all you need is you'll have to go and change the branding here. So for example, we'll go here and let's change the branding. So let's say I want to change this to probably, maybe it's already blue. So let's say I want to make it red, right? And then say, let's the default landing page color be something like this, right? Okay, so I'm gonna save this, save the branding here, right? So really I have to close my app and open the app actually, to see the changes. So anytime you do changes like this, configuration changes, right? So the only way to do that, see that is by changing the app and reopening the app. It takes actually some time to actually get the thing. So now you can see, it's completely sort of branded to whatever the color schemes that you had. Even when it actually loads, it has the same color that we wanted it to load. You can even change that the Salesforce logo, right? Those are some of the branding capabilities that it provides. The other thing is we will talk about the global and quick actions, right? So you saw that I created a participant quick action. So to do that, you basically go to the object manager and actually open that object. For example, I had a quick action for the webinar object, right? So I went to webinar, and then I went to buttons, links, and actions. So I created a simple create new participant action. So you can create an action and attach various things. Like here, I'm just using a standard action to create a child record. But really, you can use a flow. You can attach, for example, when you're creating a new action, right? you have different options. You can, use some of these standard things, or you can attach a visual force page, which I don't recommend unless you're building a mobile first visual force page. But I think that the right options are to attach a web component or attach a flow. So these are, let's say you want something like a wizard thing to happen on, on a quick action, then you can use flows and connect flows to this. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is compact layout. So the other thing is when you're actually on the mobile, right? There are certain layouts that you will see. For example, when I am actually here, right, and I see the header, it only says webinar and the webinar name, etc. Right? So those are actually controlled by compact layouts. So there's a default compact layout that is defined here, right? But what you can do is you can actually clone. So today it only has, the webinar fields, right? So what you can do is you can clone this and say, let's say webinar layout, webinar new layout. So you can actually clone this and say, okay, I don't want only webinar name. I also want, the owner of the webinar, or maybe I also want the registration link or the start date to show, or status to show. Maybe status makes more sense. So yeah, so once you do this change, right, we should see that. Again, I'll have to close and open my application to see that change being reflected. So know that Salesforce is all metadata driven, right? So one of the things with Salesforce is, all these changes that you're doing is also captured as a metadata so that you can move between the environments. So let's see. Maybe it takes some time to reflect the compact layout change. Yeah, it usually takes some time for some of these features. I had to, open and close a couple of times to actually make sure it reflects. Or maybe okay, so I know what mistake I've done. I might not have assigned this layout. Let's assign this to make it default. Let's go back and see here. So let's see. So Salesforce, one mobile app. Yeah, let me close once more. It's still not reflecting. Yeah, it does reflect, and it takes some time actually. Let's see, so the compact layout. This is the layout. So it says webinar name, owner, and the status and the stuff. Okay, let's see why it's not actually getting reflected. Sometimes it does take time. Sometimes I have to, literally restart or, basically wipe out the cache. So let's actually go through those options. That might be good time to review those options. So so you can see in this mobile, right, they give you some options here. So for example, I can go here and then I can say, okay, is there any pending changes, right? So also they provide you offline capability. So one of the things with Salesforce mobile app is there is also a baked in offline capability. So you can sync, you can sync the records. You can go offline and create some records and sync it. But there are also settings here. Like for example, so sometimes you will see that, so it will show you when it was cached. Also device alert settings, right? Sometimes what happens is, some by default, you can block, some of the notifications. So you can go here and control that. Also, there's a push notification settings. That is all the settings that you see here are related to, like, let's say, you don't want, a notification when somebody is posting to a stream or posting to your profile or group, or if you're using security features of transaction security, you don't want those alerts. So, you can keep it off, right? So the one that I had, like webinar registration notification, I've kept it on, but if you want, you can disable it, right? So it's up to the user. So these are like personalization setting options, right? You can also test your network, how good the network is on your mobile. You can do that actually. And there are some lightning settings. For example, you can enable the event login. If sometimes your app is stuck, you say you want to reload everything, right? It reloads everything. um, so now it says you're up to date. Let's see if things actually appear. It's still not. Oh, now it shows up. So you see, so when I actually refresh, now it starts showing the compact layout here. So it gives you more information about it. It takes some time. Sometimes you have to just go and um, basically say reload from your settings, and it'll show you. um, so let's move on. So some of the things I wanted to talk about was security. Like, okay, so this is all built on the platform, right? So from a platform security, or from an application security, it's same, like profiles, permission sets you control via that. But let's say, there are certain things that we need to understand here. So one of the things is connected apps. So you will see when you actually go to your connected apps, right? Manage connected apps. As soon as you have your environment or Salesforce Mobile One, right? You will see Salesforce automatically actually, publishes a connected app for Android and for iOS. So for this application that we are using, this is the connected app that automatically is, installed basically. So one of the things that you can do here is add custom attributes, right? So let's go back to the documentation to explore what are the options in the custom attributes and how they can control, the security. So I have an official documentation link, so that we can actually go through and see what are the security options that are available. Oh, okay. Maybe, the link to that has changed now, but yeah, we can easily browse from here, the help document. These are all QA. I don't want this. This is basically a help document. I'm not looking for this. Did they change the link? Not bad that they change the link like that. Should be becoming this. Let me search for mobile app. Looks like the help site got updated. Let's find out. Let's find out. Sometimes, you know what, Google is better than searching here. I'm gonna try my luck here. Mobile app. Where is the help doc? Anybody has a handy link to the help doc? It seems like it has changed. Okay, I think I got this. This one. This is the link. I'll update. Oh, okay. Looks like there is some issue in the Salesforce documentation server today. Oh, that's bad. Okay, we can basically, sometimes this happens with like document not found. It's just weird. Okay, let me open in incognito. Sometimes, it opens in incognito. Okay, looks like the site is having an issue, but we'll notify Salesforce, that they have to fix this link, right? But yeah, essentially, there are options in the connected app where what you can do is um, you can go and you can add custom attributes, so that those attributes allow you to say, okay, you don't want to, basically allow this Salesforce app to share, data with the other apps. So you can control that by using, some of the custom attributes. Unfortunately, I'm not able to actually show you because the help doc is not working. None of the help doc links are working, which is weird. See, none of the help docs are working for some reason. Seems like some issue. If I would have known, I would have, just basically took the printed copies or stored the PDF. Anyways, so actually, we have so many resources here, right? The other thing I wanted to talk about was how to build, the responsive Lightning Web Components. Let's see if the Lightning Web Components developer guide is opening. Okay. So let's get into the Lightning Web Component. So one of the things you can do is you can use something called Flexi Page region to control or make sure that you're supporting both the form factors. Yeah, so configuring for different form factors, I already went through this, right? So basically the way you do is, you can say for which targets it's available, and then, you add your support form factors here, right? Also, you can access the client form factor by this property. So this is very new to the Lightning Web Components, where we can say, this is to dynamically read, whether the user is on desktop or whether he is on phone, etc. Right? So there's a property that you can import by using the Salesforce standard module, which says form factor property. So the form factor property will read, whether it is a large, small, medium, so that you understand which type of layout it is. This is for, to make things dynamic. Very helpful if you are actually building, mobile type of solution. There's also a little bit of CSS hack that I saw, where you can say, your Flexi Page region. Okay, maybe it has something. There's one more thing, where you can say, you can define your regions in your CSS actually. I'll share the reference, in the PPT once I find it. Okay, so a couple of other things I wanted to talk about, right? Like, in terms of personalization, apart from these topics, is, so I've created a trail mix. Hopefully the trail mix opens today. It's not, getting out like the Salesforce site. So I created a trail mix actually, which has all these details that we talked about, in the today's conversation. One of the things I wanted to talk about was, the publisher, so mobile app publisher. So publishers are basically, so let's say you have built an application today, right, using the Salesforce mobile app and the technology. So you can use the publisher to use that and publish it. So basically you'll have to work with your account AE to get this feature enabled. But Trailhead sort of explains it, how you can actually create, how you can distribute this app that you are building, right, to the App Store, or to the Google Store for Android, or to the App Store for Apple Store, right? Also, you can put it on App Exchange. So they talk about, so you basically create a managed package, right? So once you create a managed package, you install that package in one of the environments, right? And then Salesforce provides you a standard utility where you can, go and request for the beta, right? Once you request for the beta and once you test the app, right, you can submit the app here, right, from the wizard. So Salesforce provides a handy wizard. That this option, like mobile publisher, will not appear in your developer boxes. It will only appear, when your org has enabled this feature called mobile publisher. And from there, you find quick find, and from there you actually can publish it. So this is for internal users if you're using Salesforce, but there is also one for communities, which we call it as communities. So when you are actually publishing it, it will ask you whether you want it for end user, that is by using the you want to use the publisher for end users, or you want to use it for the community. So you actually select an option, and based on that you'll have to maintain an asset, etc. So this module actually shows you So this is publisher apps, but there's also a module that shows you how you can do it for communities. In fact, the first module that I was showing about actually talks through the approach here. So let's see this one, right? So when you're actually creating a publisher, right, it'll ask you for an option whether you want to publish it for uh, lighting for your internal users or for lighting. So for example here, right, when you create an app, right, for publishing, it will ask you whether you want to use it for Salesforce app or it is a Lightning communities, that is you're distributing to external users. So Lightning communities, they are built using templates, and you can use templates and use templates to actually package it. All right, so the help site is still not opening, so I apologize for that. I'll have to follow up with Salesforce to see, but maybe, it opens up sometime, and, go through the sections, especially the connected app section. It shows you some of the attributes that you can configure, like a custom attribute, and, basically using those custom attributes, you can control the security of the application. So basically you say new, and then you put the attribute key and the attribute value, and the list of attribute keys and values are provided by Salesforce. Should we open the floor for questions here? We are already on top of the hour, so we'll open some floor for questions for another 20, maybe 15 minutes, and then we can wipe it out. So questions, Amit, you want me to see the chat and answer it, Amit?
Yeah, even I also unmuted everyone. So if somebody have any question, feel free to unmute and ask question directly. You can unmute yourself and ask a question.
No questions today,
but I can see a couple of questions in the chat window.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Mohit, so thanks you for your time. So I was just asking about this mobile publisher. So we have the publishing console for publishing the apps, right? So and when we develop an app using Aura or LWC, it's by default mobile ready. And if you use the publishing console, it's already there on the app exchange, and you can even download it from the phone also. So why do we need to do mobile publisher again?
Yeah, very good question, right? So mobile publisher is actually, obviously you can use Salesforce and download it, right? But what some companies actually, what they prefer is, their own app. They don't want, people to know that you're using Salesforce behind the scenes, right? And they don't want you to download the Salesforce app. Instead they want to basically publish their own proprietary app for the company, right? So the mobile publisher is for them, where you can say, you can create this container application and completely personalize it, completely change the logos, headers, completely change, the branding, and make it feel as if you are just installing an application from, from a store, for your own needs, especially the client side front facing applications,
Yeah, and it should. So yeah, I just read a comment. It says so for mobile publisher, we use it to publish directly to the app, not to the app exchange, but to the Play Store or.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can also distribute to the app exchange also,
Right.
I don't know if they mention it, but yeah, you can put it on your app exchange also, that's also a distribution channel. But yeah, the core idea is to put it on Apple Store and Google Store.
Oh, sorry, like you said, using mobile publisher, you can do both. You can do it on Play Store and also on app exchange.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Hey Mohit, this is Yogesh. By the way, thanks for this session. So a quick follow-up question on that. So if we don't care about letting people know that we are using Salesforce, will the community app be simply available in the in the pull-down menu for the Salesforce app?
Yes. Yeah. So if you are building a community app, right, if you go to your Salesforce one, right, it will be available just like normal apps. It will show up. Even if you log in through the community license, it actually shows up. I couldn't set up an example in my developer org, but feel free to actually test that behavior. It actually shows up in the community. Your community app also shows up, in the Salesforce one mobile app.
So this is the external facing community.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it does show up. Try to test it. It will show up actually. But I don't know, as an external user you can log in, because I never tested by login as a directly community user. Always tested as an admin, but I can see those apps, and I can flip it just like your regular apps. I can see it here, in my Salesforce. That's probably a good exercise to try. Um, but yeah, like for example, when I actually go and look at here in the menus, right, it will show up. Let's see, where is that? We have to go back. Where is the here, right, in your app launcher, it actually shows up. It actually shows up. Also, one of the things I forgot, now that you reminded me, is I completely forgot about the navigation. So let me actually just go through that. So one of the things you can do, and I completely forgot this to show it to you, where you can configure your navigations, is by going to mobile navigation. So let's see. So if you are on the setup today, right? So let's say if you are on the setup, right, what you can do is you can actually configure your mobile navigation, right? Like what are the menus that are available for the whole global navigation. So you go to the mobile navigation, and here you can configure the item thing. So for example, I removed all these things, from the navigation menu. But basically, if you're navigating through, right, these are called, so they say mobile only app, right? When I'm on my mobile, this is the mobile only, right? So it has all these things. We can remove all those things actually, and make sure that, when we are actually just looking at the app launcher, right, we only see certain things, so maybe the things I'm not synced, maybe they are. So for example, I can see chatter, today, task, smart items. I can see all of them. So yeah, you can control some of them. Maybe as an admin, I see some of them. But yeah, if you have a lighting component or anything that you want to add up, right, you can add it up here. That's one thing that Salesforce allows you to control. So these are the default navigation menu for mobile only app. So you can control that. But yeah, I mean, for to answer your thing, like communities, they do appear actually. In fact, the documentation also says that they do appear. Unfortunately, I'm not able to go through this documentation because there seems to be some issue. But I'm pretty sure that you can actually do that and see it. For external users. Yeah. Or the other thing is, this is as an application app container, right? Um, the other thing is, even if you go to the mobile and go to the browser today, right, and actually if you have built your communities using templates, you will see that it actually renders in the same format. I mean the mobile friendly format, because all of these templates are mobile first. So you will see that it actually renders in the mobile format. Let's see, what are the other questions that we have?
Thank you.
So Mohit, another question is, when you talked about push notification, your app was visible when you were showing it on the phone, right? So if you close it out, the push notification means, when if you are not on that app, you see the notification which comes on the mobile, on the home screen. Are those the same we are talking about?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
If you have closed the app, also it should appear. So that is a setting actually in the Android. Like I use Android, I'm not Apple iPhone, but on the Android, what I know is there is a setting where you can say, okay, you want to block. What are the Android is pretty friendlier, in terms of what notifications that you see, how you want to pop these notifications. Like you can completely configure such a way that only important notification comes, or you can configure saying, okay, make this notifications only when you are using the application, So those all behaviors are device native behaviors, and the Salesforce adheres to the same things.
So those are the same like Facebook and any other app you configure on your mobile, like WhatsApp and all. So same thing, like you want to see on screen, you can disable or enable based on your mobile setting. But yeah, the notification are same.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, Amit.
I see one question from someone like who was trying to download this app from the Android, and he was saying that only two options are visible. What is the option for that? Yeah, I only see the Salesforce and Salesforce A app in Android and not Salesforce One in Android Play Store.
Yeah, it's no more called Salesforce One. Sorry, somebody is on, on echo. So yeah, so basically, there is nothing called Salesforce One now. It's all Salesforce. So if you go to App Store, you will see only two things: Salesforce and Salesforce A. Salesforce A is basically for administrative purposes. Otherwise, you have there are some more applications on Salesforce, like Salesforce Authenticator, which is to authenticate without you having to log in. You will see Salesforce Events. That's the events app that you use for Dreamforce and other sessions. And then you have Salesforce Einstein Analytics, which is for Einstein. And then you have Field Service Lightning. So these are only apps basically. And then you have Salesforce Maps. I think that is by Salesforce Maps. So these are some of the apps that are provided by Salesforce. But yeah, for building applications, this is the one. It is called Salesforce now. It has good, at least on Android, the reviews have improved from the past because there's been a lot of work on this. So now it's like 4.4 rated app, and it is very much smoother compared to my previous experience. I had last 3 years back, I remember it was not that great. Now it's all good. A lot of things have been sorted out. Does mobile publisher work with internal apps? No, actually. So when you talk when you talk about mobile publisher, right? If it is communities, one that is for communities, it will work for external users. But if you wanted to distribute for internal users, yeah, you use the Lightning mobile publisher. But yeah, basically it will work. It has the variations. I showed you it has two variations when you're using the mobile publisher. So we are publishing console to published apps, right? And if we develop using Aura, they are by default mobile ready. And why do you need to use mobile publish? Okay, I think I answered that. If you want to expose a standard community, do I still need to publish? No, actually, you can use the browser, and also you can use the Salesforce One mobile. I keep calling Salesforce One mobile, but it's no more Salesforce One. It is Salesforce Mobile. So yeah, Salesforce Mobile. You should see the communities option also there. If you're not seeing, let me know. Drop me an email or Twitter feed. I'll take a look at it. But last I remember testing this, it also shows, it does show up as a community. I'm not logged in as external users. You might to log in as external users, you might have to change the domain to the community domain. And there should be a setting in place somewhere to do that. Let's see. So there should be a setting to when you're actually, and you can also you can log in through the multiple thing. You can log in. It's not that you are basically logging to one account. So there is something called change account, right, where you can add a new account. So when you add a new account, right, you can use the custom domain here. So if your company has a custom domain, and I'm thinking this is the same custom domain you will need for communities here. But on communities, I'll have to do some more research, to answer all of your questions. But as an internal user, right, if you're building a community, and if you have published a community app, you should see that on the Salesforce mobile. Now, as a community user, I have never actually tried myself. That seems like a good exercise to actually try and see and write a blog post on that. But actually, oh, okay. So some things doesn't show on this mirror app. But yeah, essentially, if you go and change account, it'll ask you to add a new account where you can add multiple organizations as well if you're connected to multiple Salesforce environments. Any other question?
That's a great session, Mohit. And thank you everyone for the joining, and thank you, Mohit, for the great presentation on this topic. There are lots of new learning for everyone.
Hey,
So,
Amit,
yep.
sorry, one last quick question. So, like, this.
Options for Visualforce. One of the things with Visualforce is if you design it to be mobile compatible, right? You can expose Visualforce as a tab. You can iframe the Visualforce inside LWC or inside, Aura components. You can definitely do that and expose it, right? But for Visualforce, one of the options that Salesforce gives is, mobile cards. I don't know if you've used mobile cards, but I'll show you what it is. So if you go to your page layout today, right? If I go to the page. So again, your Visualforce can also be available for quick actions, except note that, the technology that used for Visualforce, right? If you use tags like page layout, what is that? Apex page, forms, etc. Those are like very heavy. Basically, those are very heavy in terms of the DOM. So, your performance might not be that great as it is in native components, right? But one thing you can do is if you go to the layout and if you go to the layout, so you have something called mobile cards. It's Salesforce mobile only, right? So you can even drop in here and it'll show you in your detail page. Make sure that it's mobile compatible, or at least has a responsive design, lighter, and doesn't have any performance cost, etc. But it will appear. Also, you can use as I said, as a quick actions, right? So quick actions allow you to. So, for example, if you create a new action, right, you can choose a custom Visualforce page and attach your visual. I don't have one, but really you can use that to attach it to a Visualforce page. That's other way. Other thing is obviously you can use an Aura component and iframe your Visualforce page. That's also an option.
Sure, maybe I'll reach out to you offline.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right, Amit, over to you.
Yep. Thank you everyone, and thank you everyone for the joining.
There's one more question. Sorry, there is one more good question here. So it says, what kind of license required to access Salesforce mobile app? I know all users who have Salesforce license. I want to know about community license. This is very good question, and I did not cover. So license, right? Salesforce mobile app is free. So if a user has a Salesforce license, they don't need additional license actually to access that Salesforce mobile app. It's free, right? But I know that for Salesforce mobile publisher, that's where you need some licenses. Again, I'm not sure about like actual thing, but like for Salesforce mobile publisher, right? It comes with a community license. So if you have a community license, and specific type of community license, not all community license provide mobile thing. And I'll have to check that. You'll have to check with your AE, honestly, your Salesforce AE. But I believe that at least what I know and can confirm from Salesforce side is the Salesforce. If you have a Salesforce license, right, the Salesforce app comes free with it. You don't have to pay anything. Just connect to your production org and use it. Yeah.
Okay, so we are good. So I will say thank you everyone for the joining, and we will upload the recording on our YouTube channel. So if you like this session, please go and subscribe our YouTube channel for the recording. So whenever the recording will be uploaded, you will get the notification. And thank you, Mohit, for a great session over the weekend. Lots of new learning. And thank you everyone for the joining us.
Thank you.